I own Viva Fit Kitchen, which is a meal prep and catering company. Starting that and going on the entrepreneurship journey of building a product-based business. I ran into so many things, especially being the first in my family or even around me. Really, I could say my entrepreneurship journey started when I was young, when I would bring candy from Mexico and resell it here in the US for money. In our culture, I'm Hispanic. In our culture, health is not something that most people put at the priority, and it was a big eye-opener for my health, because I started to get symptoms of diabetes, and it runs in my family actually. So that was when I really decided hey, I need to do something about it, because I started getting the symptoms, and I had watched people in my family die from it, and it was I don't want to go down that same route, and it's something that's a lifestyle disease.
Welcome to another edition of the CYR Podcast, because when you clean your room, you clean your life. Today we have a guest here, Alejandra Valdez, owner of Viva Fit Kitchen, co-owner of Embolden Network. Is that how we're gonna do
Co-founder.
it? Co-founder of Embolden Network.
Co-founder. It's owned by the people.
Owned by the people, for the people. Doing big things with it too. Just had a massive conference that was pretty dope. Had some dope speakers there. I feel made a lot of impact. Brought me on the panel. I felt special. Felt special being there. But Alejandra, I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, most definitely. So I gave a little introduction for you, but I want you to talk a little bit about yourself and let the people know exactly who you are and what you do.
So my name's Alejandra, like he said. I would call myself, what I love to be known for is an entrepreneur, because I think really I don't want to be attached so much to just one business, because as an entrepreneur, I feel you can really start anything, because that is truly an entrepreneur form. You should feel you should be able to start anything, no matter what the business is. It's really just finding a passion for what and who you want to serve. So I guess, I would call myself an entrepreneur. Alejandra, the entrepreneur. And what I do currently, I own Viva Fit Kitchen, which is a meal prep and catering company, and specifically Latin-inspired foods. And then I also, because of starting that and going on the entrepreneurship journey of building a product-based business, I ran into so many things, especially being the first in my family or even around me as an entrepreneur. So because of that, I founded Embolden, which is an entrepreneurs network, which brings entrepreneurs together to really connect and grow business together in a community. So you're not feeling so alone doing it, because it does feel so alone sometimes.
I was just about to say, because it does get lonely being an entrepreneur. You just hit on a couple of different things that I feel we're going to cover during this, but I'm a slowly ease into some of those things. First off, I want to know, and I think the people might want to know too, when did you first start your entrepreneurial journey, and how did that even come about?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, it's really, I feel entrepreneurship, you either have it in you or you don't. And I truly believe that, because there are signs from when you're young that I feel put you on this path. So there is really, I could say my entrepreneurship journey started when I was young, when I would bring candy from Mexico and resell it here in the US for money. And that was when I was little. But really in my growing up years, how it started, I was in corporate life for 10 years. So I worked for a big corporation here in Omaha. And while I was there, let me rewind. I said, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but because of kind of how I grew up, education was really pushed on me, and having stability was really pushed on me. So I naturally went to a school. I was blessed enough to be able to go to college. I was the first in my family to go to college. But because I went to college just prepares you for corporate careers. They prepare you for interviews, and it's such a natural part of the process is to go get a job after college. So that's what I did. I worked in the corporate in operations, actually, at a logistics company. And while I was there, I still felt like I had that thing inside me where I was like, I need to do my own thing. I knew I was meant for being a creator, even within the organization I was in. Like, I was a very big innovator. I was always very competitive. So in my numbers, I was like always like top 3, always. And it was something that I think I was like, I want to do more. And being in a corporate setting, working for somebody else, you're very restricted to what you can do, especially when you're an innovator and you have all these new ideas. Big companies like that, you have to follow procedures. And when you think of something, it's like you can't just implement it right away most of the time. And it has to go through so many things. So while I was there, I still didn't know what it was going to be that I was going to do. But when I started working there, it was a big shock to me because I had my first like desk job that I've had. And before that, I worked in the restaurant industry, like just through college. And it took a big toll on my health. Sitting for like 10 hours a day on a computer was something that was like really new to me. The first, I don't know, like year that I started, I probably gained like 50 pounds. And it was kind of funny because they always joked about it, but it was a real thing. Like you're in the corporate setting and you're eating donuts for breakfast and coffee's available all the time. And you're sitting most of the time. And it's like, after work, a lot of people go like get together and go drink after work. And it was just like a very, not an environment that was like the healthiest, I thought. But it was a big eye opener, like for my health, because I started to get symptoms of diabetes, and it runs in my family actually. So that was when I really decided like, hey, I need to do something about it, because I started getting the symptoms, and like I had watched people in my family die from it, and it was like, I don't want to go down that same route. And it's something that's a lifestyle disease, diabetes is. And so I started meal prepping, and I met a girl there that at the place that I worked. Then we were like, she was really into fitness at the time, and she kind of got me into like going to the gym. It was the first time in my life I really was in the gym. And during that time, like we were just like meal prepping, making sure like, you had to prepare really to be successful. And that was part of that. And I lost, in a year and a half, I started doing like a lifestyle change. I lost like 70 pounds.
Okay.
And it was like a super big life-changing thing to me. Like, not only just because I felt more confident, but because the energy that you have when you eat cleaner, when like you're waking up, you have a routine, and you have a routine really through life. And I just felt really good. And I was like, if I could help spread this message about like a better lifestyle and making it convenient for people, and like, because I think meal prep was like the biggest thing out of all of it, that I was like, it was the hardest, because I was also I was a meal prep consumer. And it just clicked. I'm like, I think I can do this. I already love to cook. I didn't go to culinary school at all. So, but I did, like growing up, like I cooked all the time. And I was like, maybe this isn't that hard. Like, maybe I should just cook. And I was like, I have no background in cooking, but I do have a background in business. I graduated the University of Nebraska, Omaha, with a major in marketing management and innovation. And I was like, maybe I have my business background. I have, at the place that I worked at, I was in leadership. So I felt like and I was in leadership for operations, and I feel like I had a good, just holistic background, and I was like, I could start this. And although I know nothing about the food industry, it's something that I can just learn, because really, I feel like if you have like the groundwork for things, you can learn so many other skills. And that's what I did. I decided like, hey, I'm going to start a meal prep business, because it really impacted my health and I wanted to impact others. And I think that's really in life, when I tell you you're called to do things, it was really impacting people. And to the point like you can influence, and that's why we started Embolden. You influence people, and then to be able to impact them. And that's kind of how that started, how I became an entrepreneur. And that was 5 years ago when I launched my business. Well, it was end of 2019, so I guess almost 6. And that's, I guess, my first like official entrepreneur journey when I was in my later years, in my older years, not when I was young. But yeah, that was the beginning of it, and I've been doing it now 6 years almost. Full time though, because I still, there's a transition from when you start your business to actually going full time in your business, like where you're like, this is my only income. I didn't take that full leap until 2023 was when I left my job I was at. So yeah, it's been a journey, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's dope. That's
Yeah.
dope. I think what you just talked about really is like that's the entrepreneur's journey, like in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? Like you experience some pain in your life. And this is for every entrepreneur usually who starts a business. Is like there's a pain or like there's a need or there's something that you see that's personal to you, and you're like, and it starts with you, and then you start to realize, like, as you do it for yourself, like there's so many other people that could benefit from this thing that I'm benefiting from for myself. And so why don't I go out there and give it to the world? See, a lot of people don't realize, like, when it comes to being an entrepreneur and starting a business and growing a successful business, it's not necessarily about making money. Making money is the byproduct of it, but it really is about, like, how can I help more people? And what I just heard you say is, like, I want to figure out how I can help more people really get their health under wraps through meal prep, which I think is dope as fuck.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's dope as fuck.
Yeah.
But dang, you had a diabetes scare. Like, can you walk us through just like what that whole thing was like mentally, emotionally for you?
Yeah. So I think everyone in their life, like I'm going to start with like, I feel like I have a big thank you to my mom. It's like, because there's always that person person that is like, okay, I'm going to break the cycle, right? Break the cycle for future generations. And I can't say fully, but I think in part, like my mom was that person, because in our culture, like I'm Hispanic, in our culture, like health is not like something that most people put at the priority, and it's not. We talk about like how we eat. It's I would say it's not common, and even when I tried to eat healthier, and even when she did, like. She got all these like comments from family like, oh, it's okay, you're gonna be too like skinny. It's not something I got because I was never like too skinny, but something like my mom got, or even like my sister, because she went on the same journey. And I attribute it to my mom because she always was honest to like eat healthier. I didn't listen to her all the time. I'm just like, I'm fine, like whatever. And until like one day I wasn't fine. Like I remember specifically the day that like I was like, I need to do something. I went to the zoo, and the zoo, you walk a lot at the zoo, and my feet were like super swollen, like, and they didn't unswell for like 3 days. I couldn't even fit like my actual like shoes. Like I had to wear like sandals, and that was like one of the signs. I was like, okay, I need to do better. When another sign of like prediabetes is like when you urinate a lot and you're not like actually drinking a lot of water to like actually urinate. So like that was a sign too. And I also felt like I was having like, I don't know, my heart felt clogged all the time. Maybe the arteries, I don't know what they're called, but those were like symptoms I noticed during that time. And to me, I feel like I ignored them because I'm like, I'm okay. And I really wasn't okay. Like, I think it was just like me telling my family I was okay, and also me lack of like wanting to do the work to be better, because I didn't want to like go exercise. I didn't want to eat different. I always loved to cook, but at the time, like I was living with my boyfriend, and like I cooked like horrible things, like all these casseroles with like cheeses, um, and it was just something that I didn't want to change, and I really like masked for a long time, like that I was like okay, but I wasn't. But it was that day that I was like, I can't just like keep doing this because um like I was like I can't even walk like a regular person when without feeling the symptoms, you know? And I remember that day I had told my boyfriend, like, we need to go get gym memberships somewhere. And I just don't feel good. Like I was like, I can't just like ignore the signs anymore. And he was like super supportive. We went to go get our first gym memberships at Planet Fitness. And at the time, we're like, when am I going to make time to work out? But we did. Like, he was a really big supporter of that. And I feel like we stayed pretty disciplined. Like I cooked healthier, and accountability is really helpful and important. I feel like it's not the easiest to do things alone sometimes, and you shouldn't feel like you have to do things alone. There are times in life where you do have to like focus, and you're like, okay, I have to be alone for a little bit, but life is not meant to be done by yourself, you know. And I was like thankful for the accountability during that time. So we did go to the gym, and we were eating healthier, and I think that helped a lot. And that's really where that journey started. Was that
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
question?
That
I
was that
was
was.
like, I don't remember.
Oh yeah, you hit it on the head. Um, through like this journey and this process, like you had to learn and develop like what healthy living looked like, because you said like growing up that's not something that was shown to you, that was modeled for you. And so, or you said your mom
My
like
mom,
was
yeah.
trying to, but like culturally, like that was outside of the norm. And so I guess my follow-up question for you with that is like, I know you had your friend at work who was big into fitness, but like for yourself, how did you start to really identify like, okay, like this right here is good to eat, this isn't good to eat, this is how I should work out, this isn't how I should, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like how did you start to develop that idea of health?
Um, by getting help. So I started with a coach. I remember my first coach back in the day. He's now a really big coach, which is so amazing to see.
Shout them out, shout them out.
Yeah,
Who is he?
Coach Chet. He was my first coach. He is now the strength and conditioning coach for Crawford.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he's doing great things. And he actually went through a very hard time himself, like a situation that was crazy too. But it's beautiful to see people recover from that. And but anyhow, like he was my first coach, and I think just like coaches in general are so important because I mean they're there for people that like you're like need the accountability, that need that like, hey, where do I start with anything? I'm a big fan of like having that, and I do believe in coaches. I think they help a ton. But really, like, yeah, I got a coach, and I also started doing research on my own, like for foods that are for diabetic people, because I not only wanted to lose weight, I needed to like also eat things that were good for what I was experiencing, because everyone is different. And so I started doing a lot of research on foods, and it was just really in my own time. I didn't get like a formal education in it. I later on did get a certification through M2 Nutrition on nutrition coaching, and they go through like really the scientific aspect of it and the coaching and stuff. But it was, I feel like people wait sometimes to have like the formal piece of paper that says that you can do something. And like, that was never me. I never wanted that. I knew that like if I want something, like there's so much accessibility with the internet that you can really find what you need and make it happen. And that's what I did. I just, there was a lot of like, how do I get started? Like, why would people buy from me? Because I didn't feel like I was like, you know, the best shaped person. And I think that was a lot to overcome too. But I'm like, I came a long way from where I was at. And like, I can't be comparing myself to people that have been on this journey for I don't know how long, or, you know, didn't come from the starting point that I did. So I think that was like, what is it? I guess the question. Forgot the rest of the question.
No, it's okay. I think you still hit it. Like there really is no excuse why, especially like today, there's no excuse why somebody can't figure out something about anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To make that make sense, like if I want to know how to build a box, like we got so much technology at the tip of our fingers, like we can figure it out. But most people, I feel like, no, let's not say most people, we ain't gonna do that. It's easy for people to utilize technology in ways that is not productive for them, and to sit behind the excuse of like, I just don't know. You know, I see that, like, even being a therapist, like I see that so often. Not to say that like you can become a master and figure every last thing out with your technology, but like you can at least like get a footing and really start to like grasp like basic concepts and even start to make changes, like if you really utilize your energy and you utilize the technology that's at hand. So yeah, you answered the question. I don't feel like you did.
Yeah, I'm forgetting the question. Originally, I was talking, and then
No, you're good. You're good. What was the experience like with a coach for you? Accountability, of course.
Yeah.
Was it easy? Was it hard? Like, how long did it take before you started to feel like you was in a groove with things?
It was. I think it wasn't that hard because I had a lot of fun. I was with like a small group of other girls that. So during the time, it was like my friend that was into fitness already, and a couple of other friends. We all put a small group together to do like group coaching with him, and I think it wasn't hard because it was fun. Like I looked forward to going. It was part of my routine. It was super hard, I think, because I had never lifted weights before. Like I didn't even know how to squat the bar. So it was, in that sense, it was hard, but it was fun to go. And I mean, my personality, I love to learn new things, and challenges to me are like fun. Like but not everyone's personality is like that, I know. But to me, it was, it wasn't that hard to like get started, because of the people that I surround myself with and the accountability that I had. But it can be hard to keep going on some days where you're like not feeling like going. But that's the great thing about having a coach. Like they're on you about like, hey, why didn't you show up today? But if you don't have that, like no one's going to tell you like, why didn't you show up today to the gym? And so at the beginning, especially until you build a routine, I do recommend having a coach. But if you're not able to, like you're going to have just a lot of self-discipline, which you still need to have even when you have a coach, but just making sure that you're just showing up, because that's like the most important part. When you're there, like if you show up when you're there, it's like easier to do things, but I wouldn't say it was that hard. Because also I had a balance. Like I wasn't like super strict like on my diet. And I don't think anyone should be super strict on their diet because it's not really sustainable. You want to still be able to like eat the foods that you love here and there. I think if you're like 80% of the time, like you're good, then I mean, still have a life. Still, you don't want to restrict yourself so much that it becomes like really hard for you.
Can you speak to the idea and concept of self-discipline and accountability? And it doesn't just have to be in the aspect that we're talking in right now, because I think being business owners, being entrepreneurs ourselves, like I think these are two things that in order to build the things that we have, like you have to have those. So can you talk on just like what those are and the importance of them?
So discipline, you have to have it, because if not, you're not going to get stuff done. I always say there's motivation. I used to be so motivated by like the quotes, which I love quotes and I love inspirational things, and it does motivate you, but motivation will only last so long. You have to have like discipline. And by discipline, I mean like getting yourself a routine. And I walk people through this so much, the discipline aspect. because it's not just saying that you want to do something. It's not just saying you have this like goal of, you want to hit, say like business owners, you want to hit, $1 million in revenue, but having like an actionable plan to do it, and staying disciplined to do it. And discipline can be, can look like making sure that you're getting up at a certain time every day, and that you have a morning, like what are you doing in the morning before you start your day? And it looks like, hey, it's snowing outside today. Maybe I can't make it to the gym, but how am I still going to stay active? Like in my home, what can I do in my home to still stay active? Because just because it's snowing doesn't mean that I'm going to just forget about everything for the day. And those are disciplined things, even when you don't feel like doing things that that you still have to push yourself to do, because it moves you forward. And it's, if you miss today or whatever, you miss this, then, and I am, when I say that you miss, like, I am good with, I don't know, maybe I'm not good, but giving yourself grace is important. But I think that some people, you do it too much. And they use that as a thing, like you have to give yourself grace, which I understand. You can't be like, you do have to give yourself grace, but don't use it to the point that you're not moving forward and you're holding yourself back because you're giving yourself too much grace.
Difference between grace and excuses.
Yeah. And I see that a lot. They're like, well, you just need to give yourself some more grace. And I'm like, well, that grace isn't going to do anything for me right now. And I really need to be more disciplined more than anything, is like making sure that I'm doing what I'm saying I'm doing. And I think that's what discipline does. And it's really like a mental thing. I really don't know. I'm like, what built my discipline? I think it was like just really wanting more for myself. And it really starts when like you're young. Just how I grew up. I just grew up in like a very, a space where I was one of one, like, like I wasn't around people that were like me. And so I always felt like I had to like be better just to prove myself that I was better, or that not that I was better, but just, I guess I had to myself, I thought that I had to prove to people that I was, like qualified and whatnot. So I think it really came from that want of like wanting to be the best. And to be the best, like you have to have discipline and accountability. And accountability to me, like it means not blaming others for what you're doing or your results. And really what taught me accountability was being in leadership roles. Because when someone questions you about like why something happened, the last thing you want to do is go blame the person working for you. Because at the end of the day, you're the leader of that group, and you have to take responsibility for what some other people do. That's what leadership is. And that's okay. It's not like placing blame on others, because at the end of the day, you could have coached them better. You could have led them better to not make that mistake. So I think that's what really accountability is, not blaming other people for your results. But I guess, yeah, just that. And making sure that you're sticking to what you're doing. But that's why it's beautiful to have people in your life that hold you to that standard too. And putting it out there. Some people are scared to put like what they want to do out there because of accountability. They don't want people to know. And they say it as like, I feel like the more you put stuff out there, the more that other people will hold you accountable. And that's like a beautiful thing too, because they're going to ask you later on, like, what about that thing that you said that you were going to launch? And a lot of people are scared to even say that, because they're like, oh, maybe someone will remember and ask me about it later. So, but I do really believe that putting that stuff out there, like, will make you a better person and make you want to actually follow through on what you're doing. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on accountability and
Facts.
discipline.
I think you know when you have good people around you. You know when you have your real tribe around you, when you put the things out there to them that you want to accomplish, whether it's a weight loss goal, whether it's a financial goal, whether it's just a goal, whatever kind of goal, you put that out there to them, and they don't enable the behaviors and habits that keep you from it, and they hold you accountable to it. Doesn't necessarily mean they might be working towards the same thing, like, because they might not. That might not be their goal, but they're on your ass when they see you doing the exact opposite of what you said you want. That's when you know you got a good circle around you. I think accountability is so important, and it's key in any person's success. Like, if you don't have people around you who are gonna hold you accountable, and you struggle with self-accountability, like, you pretty much are standing in quicksand waiting to sink. That's really what it is. And even that concept, the concept of discipline and self-discipline, I hate on the American school system a little bit, because, like you said, like, it just prepares you for corporate America. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really, on the outward level, it doesn't help you to tap into, like, what your true potentials are. But I think if you are able to step outside of the system that they've created and use the system that they created to your advantage, one thing that the American school system can teach you is discipline. 100% if you use it for that. Like, I think anybody who has made it through high school and made it into college and went through college, like, they have and graduated from college, even just undergrad, like, they've learned a principle of discipline that can take them far if they see that, like, having to wake yourself up, go to class, do your homework, balance having a job on this, like, all these different things, and make it through that. Like, that is a certain level of discipline that you have to make it through that. And the same thing with high school too. Like, fuck, I remember being in high school, got 9 classes a day. Every teacher think their class is the most important. So I got homework in every last one of them things. Only way I'm graduating is if I have some type of discipline. But that's not what's being taught to us. What's being taught is, like, you just need to get your work done because this is gonna make you smart, and this is and it's like, yeah, all right, I don't use any of that shit that I learned in high school. I don't use AP stats. That shit was dumb. I don't use my science. Like, I'm not fucking cutting frog legs open and going through owl shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the traits that we're taught through that really are applicable to life if somebody is there teaching you that perspective. You feel me? Want to pivot a little bit. I pivot a lot, so just follow me. All right, pivot a lot. Being the child of immigrant parents and growing up here in the States, what was that experience like? And you being a college grad, first generation graduate, like, walk us through that, because that in itself is a challenge.
Yes, it is. I grew up, I was born in California, but, like, I would say, like, I grew up mostly in Iowa, in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Oh, Council Tucky.
Yeah. So it was even less diverse there than here, like in Omaha, where it's a little more diverse. But even so, like, we're still not to levels of, like, bigger cities. But being in Iowa, I would say it was there was things I remember from when I started even elementary school. Like, when there was 2 instances that I remember that I feel like really did shape me, because one of them was English was not my first language. It was my second language, and I didn't know English when I first started school here in the U.S. So I remember having experiences where I couldn't communicate to people, like, hey, I need to do this or whatnot, and it put me in, like, bad situations because I didn't know how to, like, speak the language. So that was, like, I think very traumatic, because I'm like, I need to learn how to speak the language because I don't want to be in these situations. And but it was, like, I guess for a better thing, right? Because it forced me to, like, hey, I need to learn a new language. And also, my family was, like, super poor. Like, we came from California here because my dad got a job like at the meat packing plants
Mm-hmm.
here in the Midwest, and that's why I moved here. It was only his income, and I had two sisters, so it was three girls, and then my mom. We lived like when I first started here, we lived in a duplex with like three other families. So it was all of us in like this like one or two bedroom place. So we were sleeping in the living room. And so I think that was like growing up just like not with a lot. I still remember like my mom didn't have papers at the time. So she was working for like a small like restaurant in South Omaha for a little bit. We also didn't have babysitters or anything. So she would take us to work with her like at the restaurant. Even my dad, he was doing like side jobs after like he worked at the meat plant. He would do like side jobs in the evening. And so just depending on like either we went with my mom to the restaurant or we were going with him like to work on a farm. And so that was, I think, because of that, it instilled a lot of work ethic in us because we were like all little, my sisters and we helped a lot, like even with some of the work that they were doing. Just to kind of, I guess, pass time since we were there anyways. So I think just growing up just, I guess, really poor, now with a lot of opportunities. That is why, like, my mom was always like, education is so important because, like, you guys need to do that to be someone. But yeah, that was that. And in Council Bluffs specifically, I felt like there was a lot of, oh gosh, I remember, like, a lot of things I experienced that were like, because I was a minority just from, I remember in another instance like that I really remember was in second grade where we did an activity for, what is it, segregation. They were talking to us about segregation in the school and what it used to be like. And then we did this activity where it was like, we separated people from brown eyes and blue eyes, and I was the only brown person in my class. So like I felt this to a different level, not just brown and green and colored eyes or whatever it was. And I feel like that was the first time I really I'm like, wow, this is what this feels like. And there was other things that like happened. That was like a weird activity, I thought, but there was other things that like I think because of that though, like it really like I just need to be like the best. I feel like that instance in second grade. And I was in ESL when I was in elementary school because, like I said, English wasn't my first language. But I tested out of ESL in second grade. I don't know if it was because of that thing happening that I was like, it just pushed me to like do something. But in second grade, I tested out of ESL. And in third grade, I was pulled out to do tag classes, what they called them, which was like talented and gifted classes. I was really thankful for that, but also I feel because of that, it like really separated me from people that were in like the ESL program, which was all brown people. Yeah. There was already not a lot of brown people at the whole school in general. In my class in second grade, I was the only one. But like ESL, it was like all the whole elementary people all like doing stuff together. So I felt like I was around more brown people, but when they pulled me out of that, because I tested out, I was no longer around like my own people. So I think that even further separated me. So I never felt like I belonged really around people that didn't look like me, but also like my own people like were like, well, now you think you're too good like to be around us. And that also like I was just like a little loner for a long time. And but yeah, I was thankful that I even got into the program in third grade though, because I do truly think that it was because of that I have like my problem solving skills that I have. Because in those classes, they were not teaching us like regular math or, you know, what you learn in like regular class. We were doing like critical, analytical, like problem solving scenarios. And I do feel like that is what, because I went through all that in elementary school, it helped me through junior high and through high school. I was like in advanced AP classes, whatever they're called. And it did help me. But I did experience a lot of like, and even junior high, when people, like I've had people call me a wetback when I was in junior high. A teacher himself, I remember I was running for student council, like president or something of that sort. I don't know if it was student council or another association, but I was doing like campaigning, what I was doing, I was like handing out candy and I was like, vote for me. And I remember this teacher specifically was like, you're just bribing people like a true Mexican person would. And I was like, that kind of stuff, like I did experience like growing up. And even like I just, there was never people around me really growing up that were like me. And the people that were, like I mentioned it, like they just kind of like separate themselves. So they thought because I was like doing like these advanced classes, thought that I was better than them. And I think that was hurtful too, because like I didn't think that, but I guess they thought that I thought that. But that was what it was like growing up, really, like in Council Bluffs. And you didn't see a lot of culture. I was the first time I think started being around other brown people, more brown people, was when I was like around 16. I started working at a restaurant in Council Bluffs, and I met one of my best friends, who's one of my best friends to this day. And she lived in Omaha. And so like we would start hanging out in Omaha. And I started like, I joined like a party crew when I was like 16. And I was doing like party promotions, like for under 21. We used to host events and parties for like the community under 21. And that's really when I started getting around other people that were like brown like me, and people like, I guess, that were not just the white people, I guess, for a better terms, but more cultural. And I think that's really where, when I started experiencing that, was like working at the restaurant. Like the whole staff was like Hispanic too. And I didn't even know any Spanish cuss words because my mom never taught us Spanish cuss words, and I was never around other people that maybe learned cuss words. So that was the first time I even learned any Spanish cuss words, was when I was working there. And I am thankful still for that job. Like I still go back all the time at this restaurant, because I feel like it was a big attribution to like just culturally being surrounded by other people like me, and yeah, opening the doors to that. So yeah, that's what it was like growing up there.
Facts.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about just that experience of being, before I ask that question, I could only imagine being in a place, right? Like, so like if y'all not familiar with Council Bluffs probably got what, like 50,000, 100,000 people?
I have no idea.
We're just going to say that,
Yeah.
like 50, 100,000, maybe. It might be more. I don't care. And I'm going to just throw a percentage out there that sound right. So don't sit there and try to fact check me on this, because I don't care. But this is what it seems like. And this is no hate to Council Bluffs, by the way, either. But we just talking about this. So it's about, let's say 95% white, and then 5% meth, and then no, it's probably like
No.
it's probably more than that. But like, we're sitting in a place where it's predominantly white, and then just being a minority there. Like, walk us through, and you kind of did, but let's dig a little deeper with this. Like, walk us through the experience of being in a place where you're already a minority, but then we go even further and you're a minority from your own people. Like, you're like, it's like, I'm brown, right? But then I can't even be here, like, with my people.
I guess like the experience, I don't know what the experience, like I just felt really like, I guess, excluded. I guess that's what like the feeling I would have had, like I had. And I just didn't feel like I just fit in really anywhere. Like, I mean, at the time, like when you're young, you don't see like color like we see it now, but or thinking that they can't relate, which is so crazy, because I've had, like, when I even see the friends that I had in elementary school, I still know some of them to this day, but like their values are so different than mine. I was like, wow, we didn't even see those things when we were little. So like I had like my when I was in elementary school, I had like my one best friend. And I don't know what that experience, I think like I mentioned, it made me really just want to be the best. It made me more competitive, I think, in a way, because I had to be like on my own. And it did. Like I remember some of it, like I used to want to be like the best at everything. Like I would challenge people to like outrace me, like and during recess all the time, because I was like, I am like the fastest runner. And I would challenge people all the time to like outrace me, like if you want to like try to beat me. Like I think that's what it came from, like me being so competitive and like always wanting to be the best. But it was really because like I didn't feel like I really fit in anywhere, that I don't know, I was a um but I don't know what else to say about that experience. I guess that's
Were there ever dark days with those thoughts? Just like feeling excluded, feeling like you had to prove yourself?
I'm sure I had those when I was younger. Um and even I'm trying to think of like even to now, like there was times in my corporate career I felt like I always had to prove myself. Um Not because I was a minority, but also because I was a woman in like such a male dominated industry. When I got there, there was like no diversity. Um, when I became a manager, I hired like my most diverse team that place had. And I feel like a lot of stuff that was a challenge was because also I was a woman. Like there was positions that like I remember I had applied to, and like it was a leadership position at the time. And the feedback that I got from the hiring manager was they didn't think I was assertive enough. And I was like, well, what basis do you even have to go off? Because he had never like actually worked with me. Like, so I just didn't understand that. And I think that was hurtful too, because I'm like, you're just saying that from what basis? Because I'm nice to you at this interview. Like, I'm not like, I am a very strict person, but I don't know if I show that like when I'm interviewing. I don't know, maybe I was a bad interviewer, but it was a lot. Like I had to deal with like just um the biggest feedback I got to when I was in corporate was like you don't interact too much with like the other supervisors, like you don't hang out with them, or like you have too much cohesiveness. And because I just didn't feel like I really was like them. So it was hard for me to like, besides what we did at work every day, like I didn't go to like the outings with them like too much. Like I didn't do all of that because I just didn't feel like we connected on that level. And I didn't want to like fake connect, because I was like, you guys just don't have the same values, the same, maybe they did, maybe I just didn't feel like we connected for me to go, interact with them further besides work.
Mm-hmm.
And or what I had to, I guess. And what was the original question again? What was the original?
I don't remember. We're gonna go to the next one.
I don't know.
I was following you. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is good. This is
Yeah.
good. Here, we about to, because we're getting close on time. I got some questions that I want to ask you, because I feel like people out there could really benefit from them. What steps do you believe people need to take in order to really start to like overcome barriers or challenges or things that they're struggling with in their life? Like 3 steps. What are three
steps?
Yeah.
I would start by writing down those challenges, writing down what you feel like you need to overcome. But I always tell people like they need to be able to see into like the future. I'm so bad at 3 steps. The future, what they want in their future, because that doesn't look like necessarily a career or amount of money or whatever. Like it needs to be like, what do you see your everyday life being like, and how are you going to get there? So really like writing that down, having a plan to get there. And sometimes you don't know, that's okay. Like, but you need to write those steps down. You don't know how you're going to do them, but along the journey, like you can find out, like you mentioned earlier, there's so much technology in our fingertips. Like there is really no excuses to not know things, or to at least be able to find who knows something. And if it has anything to do with business wise, I'm here as a resource always. Like I am very like connected in the business community. And if like you need help with something in business and you're not sure where to go, like I'm not going to know everything, but I know people that can help, and I can help on some, aspects as well. But I think people overcoming, I mean, it's just really like being able to see that future for yourself. And when you can see that future, the hurdles in the way, or things that happen along the way, I should say, they're easier to overcome because you can see the future so well for yourself that you're like, this right now I know is just like a temporary thing. But when you're not able to like see that, it's like harder to get past those hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like really be able to envision the future that you want for yourself in order for like anything in life to be easier to overcome.
Facts.
So
All right.
that's not 3 steps, but
No, that's all right. But that shit's solid. That shit's solid. All right, next one. I grew up pretty traumatic, and it impacts the way I live my life now. Like I like to turn up a lot, but I want more for myself. Like, how do I break that cycle?
I mean, to me, it's really as easy as just wanting it, and I guess that's not for everyone, right? Like everyone can, but I think the easiest way to break the cycle is just to say that you're going to do it and do it. That's always been my thing. If I say I'm going to do something, it's because like I'm going to do it, and it should be that easy. Like to me, it should be that easy. It's going to be hard. Like there's going to be challenges, yes, but you're always going to keep trying, and and to the point that you overcome those things or break those cycles. Sometimes like, do you even know? I think like, do you know the cycles that you're breaking? Or, but I just think if you want different, you'll do different, and it should be as easy as that. Like you just have to want it and be mentally strong to know like, hey, I need to do different.
Mm-hmm. When you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. That's integrity right there. And integrity is I'm going to call it a skill, because integrity should be a trait, but it's a skill that a lot of people do not have. Like a lot of us will say we're going to do something. We say New Year's is the worst time.
Yes.
New Year's is the worst time. I swear everybody got a resolution for the first week and a half. And then after that, it's like our integrity is lost. So, just going along the lines of what you said, like it is as simple as just saying like, I'm going to do it and do it. But you also have to develop the skill of having integrity. Like your word has to mean something, because if your word don't mean shit, then
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, the only thing someone has is like their word. Like if you can't even follow through on your word, like what do you have? Like people aren't gonna ever trust you. You can't even trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, you ready for the next thing?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a speed round. What is your experience with therapy, if at all any?
I actually don't have experience with therapy.
What?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
I've never been to a therapist. I do a lot of self-work. I'm a very like grounded spiritual person. There's a lot of times I've had to just sit with myself. But I've never really been to a therapist. I'm very open about talking to people. So to me, maybe that's a form of therapy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But and I really think like if I can talk about it, I feel like it's healing to me to talk about things.
100%.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize, like, in or out of the therapeutic room, you know what I'm saying, working with a therapist, like just being able to express the things that are on our hearts and that's in our mind that might be weighing us down, or that might be having us feeling a certain way, like that in itself is therapy on a certain level, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, a lot of us don't talk about it. Like we just hold that shit in, and we let it build, and we let it build, and we let it build. So even just having to know that I need to talk about these things, that's big.
Yes.
Next thing, I want to start a business.
Yes.
I don't have any education on business. I know I'm tired of working at McDonald's. I'm tired of working at Burger King. I'm tired of taking people stuff at Ross and popping off their little tag thing, little metal. Tired of doing that. I want to start my own business. I want to work for me. I don't know where to start. What do I do?
The first thing that I feel like you should do is think about like what are your skills? Like what do you feel like you're called to do to put out in this world? Like what are the things that um that you want to be known for? And it starts there because when you really know like what you want to be known for, what your purpose is here, it's easier to do things. Like you said earlier, like money is like a byproduct of like literally pursuing your passion. I really think that's true. But it is, I mean, you're never going to know where to start, and you don't need to be like 100% legit to start. And I always tell people that, like, people are so worried about, let me file my LLC first and get, my logo and all this stuff, my website. Like, you don't need that to start. You need to have like a research to start, because you also want to make sure that before you do all this, that your product or service, there's a need for it, and that you're able to like market it, and people are going to buy it from you, and you're that person to buy it from. And so really just start. Like when I started my business, I didn't have a website. I had no money. I had no anything. I was like, just like with my friends, uh, I was writing stuff down. Back then they didn't have ChatGPT. Now you can ChatGPT like names, like you can come up with like business names. Back then they didn't have that. So it was me and a piece of paper, just like trying to think of like words that I felt like would describe what I'm looking for. And then it was just putting two words together from this piece of paper. But now they have that, and that's easier. You don't have to necessarily use whatever name they give you, but you can at least get ideas. It starts like idea generation using technologies like that. But just start. Like I said, when I first started, it was like social media is free. Thank goodness they had social media, because that's what I used. But I've learned social media it's a platform to advertise on, but it shouldn't be the basis of your business, because you like there's been a ton of times, it's not a ton, a couple of times that those platforms have went down. And like, so you have to really, you never own that on social media. So you just want to make sure that you're funneling it into something else, like an email list, so you can market to your website, something that's product wise. But it was just like, I just put it out there that, hey, I'm selling this, DM me if you want to buy it. Like, that's literally how it started. I had nothing legit. I started cooking out of my mom's kitchen for the first year. And I mean, even that's like illegal to do. I mean, I just did it. You can't have everything perfect when you want to start, but you do need to make sure that you're going to the business or the product or service that you want to sell or do. It's something that people are going to go to you for, and you want to test it out before like you like invest all your, dollars and have everything legit. But because I was able to do that for me, like I was able to do it little by little. I was able to save money to then file my LLC and pay someone to do, branding and things like that, a website. But sometimes you don't have money to do that. And that's why you just have to start with what you do have. And that's what I would say. Just start is by just stop being so scared to like put what you want to do out there. Find something that you're like, hey, maybe people will pay me for this, and just put it out there and see if people do pay you for that. It's just testing the market, really.
Facts. But, all right. If somebody wants to tap into your meals and get some meal plans shipped out to them, how can they get that going?
And I also did want to, if there are any business owners out there that do want help with their business, so in Embolden we work with that with business owners. We do not work too much with like starter business owners. I wouldn't say like that 1 to 2 years. That's like, we don't file the LLCs, but you can always reach out to us like for those resources. On our website, we're building like a resource library anyways, so you can go on there too, emboldennetwork.org. And then, but we do work with 2+ years business owners that are really looking to like, they already have their business, like I said, concepts established, and they're looking to like grow it, past 6 figures. And so I would just plug in on that. And then for Viva Fit, if you do want to get meals, we have an online ordering platform, vivafitkitchen.com, where you can just go and pick out your meals and get them delivered to you, or you can pick up at our kitchen in Council Bluffs.
There we go. One last thing. Actionable item, takeaway item for the viewers. Something that you can leave them with.
Something I could leave them with?
Yeah.
What do I leave? I don't know my action item. Let me think about this.
Go ahead.
Can you edit this out? Me thinking?
Nah, they gonna see the imperfection and all. It's okay.
See, I don't know. I would say like there's so many people out here like always like searching for their purpose. They're like, what do I have to like offer the world? Because I feel like I run across that a lot for people, and that's not an action. I feel like that's long now. So actionable item.
Do that.
Yeah,
I like that. I like what
I do feel like really just think about the stuff that makes you happy. Like, what do you find joy of the most? And I think that is like what you're really meant to do. So. My eyes are watering now.
We got some tissue for you. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming on, truly. And y'all, I appreciate y'all for tuning into another episode of the CYR Podcast. Remember, when you clean your room, you clean your life. CYR also stands for Create Your Resilience. It also stands for Change Your Reality. That's what this is all about. Level the fuck up. We out.
Bye.
Good.
Thank you.
That's good. Yeah?